Hi guys, this is Jason Matthew from WeCanEduTech, where we make learning to use educational technology simple. Thank you so much for being here. If you are interested in making your Zoom meetings more secure, then this video is for you. We will explore the latest security features that come with Zoom 5.0, and I will show you what steps you can take to make your Zoom session as secure as possible. So why all this emphasis on Zoom security? One word: Zoom bombing. This word did not exist a few weeks ago. Zoom bombing is a new form of online trolling. It is when uninvited guests are coming in the meetings and in most cases sharing pornographic images and content, using inappropriate language and harassing other participants. And yes, it is a big deal. Some companies, education boards, and even countries have banned Zoom. Some countries are even looking into whether they can make Zoom bombers liable for cyberbullying and harassment. Zoom bombers are unwanted guests. They use the different affordances of Zoom to hijack the Zoom session and bring the meeting to an end. They use their mics to propagate profanity and hate. Zoom bombers share inappropriate materials as well as they annotate vulgarities on the screen. Here is a summary of all the steps you can take to protect your meeting from such attacks. A link to a PDF version of this summary is in the video description for you to download. From the summary, you can see that there are different phases at which you can take steps to safeguard yourself: before, at the start, and during the meeting. It should be noted that one of the reasons that Zoom became so popular was due to its ease of use. It is also one of the reasons that Zoom is so vulnerable. This list contains all you can do to protect your meeting from Zoom bombers, but it should be noted that these steps will restrict your participants to some degree. We will go through the steps together and you can decide which steps you think will be applicable to your type of meeting. All right, so the first step is to update Zoom. So we click on our Zoom client and then we go to the top right corner of the Zoom client, and there you should see either your profile picture if you have one or your initials. So in my case it's JM, so I click on that and then I scroll down to check for updates, and I click on check for updates, and there is a new update, new version 5.0, and it tells you what features they're offering, what fixes they're doing, and you can click update to update your version of Zoom. So I'm going to click update to version 5.0. Once the update has finished downloading, you click install, and then you follow the prompts that the installation will give you. All right, the installation was successful. Click close, and now my Zoom client has been updated to Zoom 5.0. It's that simple. So now that you have upgraded to the latest version of Zoom, the next step is to look at our global settings. So we click on the gear wheel, which is on the top right corner there. You click on it and you scroll down to the bottom there where it says view more settings. When you click on view more settings, it's going to open up the Zoom web portal, because you have to go through your web browser version of Zoom to access the global settings. So I'm going to click view more settings, and that opens a browser window where I can see my different settings. Just remember, whatever you set in the global settings will be applied to all of your meetings. We scroll down, and the first setting we want to change is join before host. Now, if you see your toggle it's blue, that means that option is on. If you see like it's in the color gray, then that means that the option is off. So in this example here, join before host, it's on right now, but we want to turn that setting off. So we will click on it. So it goes from blue to gray, and I get a confirmation your settings have been updated. It means now that the meeting can only start when the host is there. All right, we scroll down a little bit more again. And then the next setting I want to turn off is embed password in meeting link for one-click join. So we're going to turn that off. So right now it's on, so I'm going to click on it, click on the toggle, and it should go from blue to gray. All right, the person will now need the link and the password to get in. I must admit, I don't really do this, as I figure that if the bad actor gets their hands on the shared link, they will also have the password anyway. And it's not worth the frustration of an added step for your participants to carry out. But if you turn this off, it means that the participant will need to click on the link, join the meeting, and then when they'll be prompted to enter a password, and then they will be able to start the meeting or be part of the meeting. All right, but I normally keep this one on, but you have the option to keep it on or off. All right, let's go down a little bit more. All right, file transfer. We want to turn this off, so we click on it, turns off, great. This way, Zoom bombers will not be able to share inappropriate images or videos with your participants. However, it will mean that your participants will not be able to share legitimate files as well. Co-host, you want co-host to be turned on, so it's already turned on, it's blue, so I can leave it as is. This way, you can bring in someone to monitor the session in the background and take necessary action. This is very useful to have a co-host like in large meetings where you need someone dedicated just to be looking out for any inappropriate activity and so on. As well as the co-host will double as someone who could be answering questions and just helping you out. So it's something to consider if it's possible. All right, so we scroll down again. Allowed remove participants to rejoin. That's a good one. So we want to have that off. It means that once you remove someone from the meeting, they won't be able to rejoin, although they have the link and the password. Once you remove them, they won't be able to rejoin. And finally, if you scroll down a little bit more, so this is the great thing about Zoom. It has so many different settings that you can customize that you could really set your meeting up the way you want it to be. All right, so the last one I want to show you all is that where you could designate which data centers process your meetings. So recently it was discovered that Zoom had business interests in China and had set up data centers there. This initiated a justifiable public concern for privacy. So now you can block which data centers you don't want to process your meetings. Okay, so you could click on which data centers you want your information to go to. I have unchecked China, again, because of the privacy concerns and how that country deals with data and so on. But I have the others checked. All right, and that's it for the global settings. So as soon as you are changing the global settings, they are being updated. So you don't have to go scroll down to find a save as button or anything like that. It's already saved. So once you're finished, you can always close off and return to your Zoom client. So now I'm back at my Zoom client and I'm in the Home tab. And what I want to do is schedule a meeting. So I'm going to click on schedule. And they ask me what is the topic of the meeting. So for this demo, I'm going to say it's a WeCanEduTech staff meeting. It's always good to give the host name as well. So I'm going to put my name, Jason Matthew. And it's going to be a recurring meeting because I want to have this staff meeting the last Friday of every month. So I'm going to choose a recurring meeting. Never use your personal meeting ID. So you want to generate an automatic ID for this meeting. So choose that option. I want a password. So I've chosen that option as well. The video for the host and the participants should be both off. And then the audio on the calendar could be left as they are. That's not a security risk. Now, under advanced options, you click the drop down arrow here and you get a few options. The first thing we're going to do is check enable waiting room. All right. When participants log into your meeting, they won't immediately join the main session. They will now go into what is called a waiting room. And while in the waiting room, the participants cannot access the main session. Neither can they see or interact with other participants. All right, I'm going to disable enable join before host, mute participants on entry. That is good. Check that. Only authenticated users can join. You definitely want to check that. And that is only users log into their Zoom accounts will be able to join a meeting. This means that all participants will need Zoom accounts to join this meeting, which is not a bad thing. It does not matter if the account is free or pro, and creating accounts only takes a few minutes. So it's not like it's going to be your participants will be at a disadvantage anyway. But the benefits of having your participants use their Zoom accounts is that it makes it easier for Zoom to identify the participant in case you have to report the participant for inappropriate behavior. It also adds an extra layer that hackers and bots have to overcome. So it's a good thing to do. And once you have that meeting set up, then you can click schedule. And when I click on the meetings tab, I now have all my other meetings, plus I have my WeCanEduTech staff meetings. I can click on that. And when I'm ready to start the meeting, I can click start. I can also click show meeting invitation and get the URL from there. So I can copy and paste this URL. And I can send that out. So now I can copy this link and email it to my participants. And all they will have to do, based on the global settings you had set up, they will have to click on, I have set it where the password is embedded in the link. So they just have to click on the link and they will get into the meeting. But if you had checked off the embedding, then you'll have to give them the link as well as the password. So they'll need to click on the link and then enter the password. So you need to share the link plus the password, and they will be able to get in. Now, whatever you do, don't share this information on social media, because now anybody will have access to that information and be able to join your meeting. And that's where a lot of these Zoom bombing cases, that's how they happen. So you don't want to go to social media with this kind of information. So I've started my hypothetical staff meeting. I have entered the meeting 15 minutes before it's scheduled to start. So right now, there will be participants joining the meeting, getting ready for the meeting. But when they join, they will enter the waiting room. So they're not entering the main session just yet. They're entering the waiting room. So as you can see, I'm getting participants. I'm getting notification that participants are entering. So there are about 3 people have already entered the waiting room for this meeting. I can click on participants and I will see the 3 people that are there. So it's Helen, Christy, and Ethan. So we can do a few things in the main session with settings and so on before we bring these people in. So the first thing I want to bring to your attention is the security icon on the control panel. And if you click on the security icon, you get some quick access to some features that will help you secure your meeting. So if there's a tick next to it, that means that that feature is on. So for instance, enable waiting room is on, and you could toggle between on and off during the meeting. Chat is on. The first thing I want to do is make sure that rename themselves is turned off. So right now there's no tick next to it, so that means it is already turned off. And what that would do, that will prevent Zoom bombers from changing their name to something inappropriate during the meeting. The next thing we want to do is to for participants, we want to turn off share screen for participants. So right now, if I clicked on it and I check again, there's a tick there, so that means it's on. So I want to turn it off. So I make sure I click on share screen. There's no ticks there, so that means it's off. And that's important because this prevents Zoom bombers from sharing their screen while the meeting is going on. This also prevents legitimate people from sharing their screens. Fortunately, the host can easily turn the screen sharing on and off for participants at any time during the meeting. So if there's a point in time where you want your participants to share their screen, then you can go back to the security icon here and then click on share screen, and then participants will be able to share their screen at that point in the meeting. But when the meeting is about to start, you make sure that participants can't share their screen. The next thing you want to do is, if possible, you want to assign a co-host. So in this example here, I will choose Christy. I've asked Christy to come into this meeting as my co-host. So first what I will do is that I will admit her into the meeting. So I click on admit. So then she will join the meeting. And when she's in the meeting, I'm going to, with my mouse, I'm going to hover over her name. So the cursor is over her name. And you should see the more button coming up. When I click on the more button, I then choose make co-host. And now I confirm by clicking make co-host again. So I click on that button. And now Christy Reynal is my co-host in my meeting. This is great, especially when you have large groups. This person can focus on the participants' activity while you, the host, focus on your meeting. And the final thing you want to do before you start the meeting is manage who can chat. Now there's different degrees at which you can do this. So first you click on chat. All right, then the chat window will come up. You click on the three buttons on the right corner there. So you click on that, and then you decide which option you want. So right now, it's set to everyone publicly and privately. So it means that if there's someone there, like a Zoom bomber, they can talk to your participants and they can harass them. They can share things with them. So you don't want that. So you have other options. You can decide that you don't want any chat at all, so you click on no one. Or you can decide that participants will only send you messages, so you click on host only. And that's a pretty good option. So at least if your participants have any questions, they can still ask you in the chat room. All right, so that's a good option to have. So you click on host only. So now participants can only chat with the host in this chat room here. So now that you have set up your settings and it's almost time to start the meeting, you can now start bringing in your participants in the meeting. So what you do is that you look at the participants in the waiting room, and you could do a quick scan, and if you find that everyone is fine, then you can click the admit all button. And if you click the admit all button, then everyone will come into the meeting. If you want to do it individually, you just have to click admit. So if I click admit button here, Helen will come in. All right, so Helen leaves the waiting room and she now comes into the main session where she can participate in the meeting. Ethan is still in the waiting room. Now let me just so you could put somebody back into the waiting room, right? So you just click on more and you say put in waiting room. So I've returned Helen into the waiting room. Now, while Ethan and Helen are in the waiting room, they can't see anything that is happening in the main session. And as well as Helen and Ethan are not aware that each other is there. So it's not like, so Ethan is seeing a blank screen and he's just seeing the message, please wait, the meeting host will let you in soon. So he can't come into the meeting. He doesn't know what's going on and he doesn't know what other people are there waiting for the meeting, and he can't interact with them. All right, so as I said, I'll bring in Helen. And let's say for some reason, I don't know who Ethan is. You can either choose right away to remove him, and if you click this remove button, he'll be removed from the meeting and he will not be allowed to join the meeting. Although he has the link and the password, if he tries to join the meeting after you remove him, Zoom will say, no, you can no longer join this meeting. The other option is that you could message, by clicking the message button, you could ask Ethan to give you more information about himself, just to make sure that he's a legitimate person to come in. Otherwise, you could remove him. But for this example, I'm going to bring him into the meeting as well. Now, once you are satisfied that everyone who is supposed to be at the meeting is there, so in my case, I was expecting only Ethan and Helen to attend this staff meeting. So I know everyone that's supposed to attend the meeting is there. Then I can go to the security icon on the control panel, click on security, and now I can lock the meeting. And you see, you get the confirmation, you have locked the meeting, no one else can join. Even if that person on the outside has the link and the password, they won't be able to get in. The only challenge with this is if one of your legitimate users leaves the meeting for whatever reason, whether they got bumped off or something, they too will be locked out of the meeting. Fortunately, you can turn off lock rooms at any time. So you just have to click on your security button and then click lock meeting. And now you have unlocked the meeting so new participants can join. So that's, and then the participant who got locked out can now log back in and get into the meeting. All right, so in some cases, you might even want to create a lock meeting policy, and this will motivate your participants to show up on time. Now, at the start of the meeting, the other thing you want to do is that you want to click on mute all, because you want to make sure at the start of the meeting that everyone's mic is off, so you could prevent the background noise from their mics and so on. All right, now when you click mute all, you now get this option, allow participants to unmute themselves. So right now, the box is checked. All right, and if I click continue, that will be the option there. It means that if I click continue here, I will mute everyone, but then they can unmute themselves if they want and speak. Now, if I uncheck that box and I click continue, it means that during the meeting, they won't be able to unmute their mics. All right. So for now, at the start of the meeting, I'm going to leave it as allow participants to unmute their mics, and I click continue. And you get confirmation here. If you look at the icons next to Ethan and Helen, there's a microphone icon and a video icon. And you can see that there's a slash across them, meaning that they are turned off. If, for instance, someone's video is on, but then there is no turn off all video button, you will have to go to that person and turn off their video. So in this example here, Ethan just turned on his camera there. So I can go to hover over his name, click on more, and then I could click on stop video. Now, once I do that, Ethan will not be able to turn his camera on. If he tries to turn his camera on, he will get a message saying, you cannot start your video because the host has disabled it. All right, but if you want him to to turn his camera on at any point, you just hover over his name again, you click on more, you can choose ask to start video. And then he will get a message saying the host has asked you to start your video, and then the person can decide yes or no to start their video. Now, during the meeting, you can continue doing this again. So like for instance, during the meeting, let's say a Zoom bomber is trying to take over the meeting, they're speaking and stuff. You can then click mute all quickly, turn off this option, and then click continue. All right. And when you do that, he's going to get a message saying that their mic is turned off by the host, and they will not be able to turn on their mics again. Now, once you address this situation, if you want people to speak again, you can either go by the individual person that you want to speak, and you could click unmute, or if you want everyone to have the option to turn back on their mics, you can click on mute all and then check this once again and click continue. And now it means that current and new participants will be able to turn on their mic. So there's a toggle between this mute all button where you can either turn off completely everyone's mics and then they won't be able to turn it on, depending on if you toggle between this option here, or you can go by individual participants and unmute their mics. So there are different ways in which you can control how people use their mics in the setting. And should anybody be behaving inappropriately and stuff, you always have the option to hover over their name, click on more, and click remove. And again, once they are removed from the meeting, they will not be able to join that meeting. No matter if they have the password or the link, they will not be able to rejoin the meeting once you remove them. Another option you have is that you can report their activity. So for instance, if I click on report, I see Ethan Matthews coming up here, and I can give some details about the problem. So is it that they are doing inappropriate share screening, they have abusive conduct, and so on. And I could give more details here. All right, I could even include a screenshot of what is happening. And then when I scroll down and I click on send, Zoom will collect that information. And because now everybody has to sign into their Zoom accounts, Zoom is able to not only collect the information, collect their IP addresses and so on. And so they could have some kind of reporting structure taking place there. You can also report participants after you remove them from the meeting, or if the participants themselves leave the meeting. This is very useful if you are in a situation where a participant is being very offensive and you need to remove them right away, or the offensive participant abruptly leaves. You can still report them by accessing the security options on the main control panel. All right, so let's say in this example here, Helen, she was being offensive and stuff, and then she leaves the meeting. So she did her stuff, and then she leaves the meeting. But you want to report Helen's activity so that at least Zoom will have a record of it and they can do something about it. So as you can see, Helen has left our participants here, but we can go to the security icon on our control panel. So we click on the security icon there, and then we go to the report option. So that's the last one. You click on report. Now when you click on that, the report comes up, and if I click on the drop down menu, it shows all the participants, whether they left or whether they were removed, they're still there. So in this case, it's Helen I want to report. So I just click on Helen's name. Her name comes up, and then I can make the report. All right, I can upload a file if I need to take a screenshot. And then I scroll down and I click send, and the report is sent to Zoom. Just remember to do this before you end the meeting. There are alternatives to Zoom out there. There's WebEx, Google Hangouts, Skype, Microsoft Teams, and open source options like Big Blue Button. It should be noted that these other softwares will also be susceptible to some form of Zoom bombing. Obviously, Zoom has taken the brunt of it, and one of the reasons for this is because of the statistic on your screen. At the end of 2019, there were 10 million daily users on Zoom. In March 2020, the number of daily Zoom users skyrocketed to 200 million users. This made Zoom a prime target for hackers and trolls, as well as it received and continued to receive a lot of attention from the media. On the other side of things, we have not experienced any widespread downtimes with Zoom, nor any drop in quality of service that you might expect with such an exponential increase in users. And that's incredible, and is testimony to how robust Zoom is. Also, Zoom is listening to our feedback and providing options for us to make our meetings more secure. If you follow our recommendations in this video, you will be in a very secure position. Please have a look at our other videos to learn more about Zoom and other educational technologies. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification icon so you don't miss a thing. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Stay safe. Bye.